Welcome to the Phame Influence Podcast, bringing you the heavy hitters in marketing, influence, music, and entertainment industries. With your host entrepreneurs, Till Paris and Kevin Puckett.
Welcome to another episode of the Phame Influence Podcast. My name is Till Paris.
And I'm Kevin Puckett. We're joined here with our co-host, Palmer Davidson.
Hello, hello.
And we are the hosts of the show today.
Our show is proudly sponsored by MauiCoffeeCo.com, which features a rich tasting coffee that is grown in volcanic soil at the base of the West Maui Mountains. And as an exclusive benefit to our listeners, head on over to MauiCoffeeCo.com. Get 15% off your order by using coupon code FAME15. That is PHAME15 for 15% off your order at MauiCoffeeCo.com. I don't care how much it costs. This stuff is worth every drop.
I do not disagree with that.
Our next guest is founding partner and chief marketing officer at Quack Car Wash. He has helped grow the company from a single car wash to more than 110 locations in 5 states. Among other things, he is primarily responsible for branding, direct marketing, advertising, promotions, customer experience, social media, community relations, and public relations. He has an MBA from Brigham Young University and previous marketing experience with startup.com companies, as well as real estate development and retail management. Please welcome to the Phame Influence Podcast, Travis Kimball. Travis, how are you, buddy?
Good, thank you.
So we've heard a little bit about what you do, Travis, but tell us why it's influential.
Well, I think it's influential because when people think of car wash, the first thing they think of is probably not marketing and branding.
Yeah.
The car wash industry is in a tremendous transition right now from a highly fragmented mom and pop type industry with a single location or two location ownership to really a dynamic growing industry with that's attracting the interest from private equity, multi-chain operators like ourselves. And really the influence has been in the marketing and branding arena, making that transition to more sophisticated business practices. And among those, developing a brand in right now, regional pockets, and eventually, who knows, taking over the country and having a national brand, I'm sure is on the list of in the scope of many operators right now.
It's fascinating stuff, and I think honestly, there's probably a whole host of industries right now that feel very similar to what you just mentioned. They're going through a massive transition period, whether that being accelerated by COVID or not. I think you're going to see a lot of big changes here in the next 1 to 2 years in a multitude of industries. But how has COVID affected your market, and what have you done to calibrate, Travis?
Well, it was first initially took us all right by surprise. Obviously, something that none of us has ever experienced before, either personally or as a company. And we were really nervous. So when things started to shut down. We got together. I remember distinctly, it was, a Saturday morning. We're like, we can't wait till Monday to talk about this. We got our executive team on the phone, the first obviously of many Zoom type conversations over the next few months. But we were just trying to figure it out. We were trying to figure out what it meant in terms of will the car washes be able to stay open. Obviously, we have an interesting dynamic as well that we were working with various states, and then within those states, various counties and cities that all didn't really have a playbook either. Yeah. And so initially, one of our initial locations to kind of be shut down, we preempted having it shut down, was in San Francisco, where things were heightened. The cultural and the politics there were a little more sensitive to that. And so we closed down one of the car washes. And so, with over 100, it ended up being okay that we only had to close one. And then over the course of the next few months, we had to, in various jurisdictions, had to close and open, or could close and then reopen 2 or 3 others. But at the end of the day, we were able to keep open almost all of the car washes, with the exceptions of just a handful of those. And they were each only closed between a few weeks to, I think the most was about 6-8 weeks. And so for that, for the individual store, that was pretty hard. We had to, let people go. We had to offer people that where we did stay open, we gave them the choice to stay. And then we cut all our expenses. We basically said, obviously from a marketing standpoint, we just turned the faucet off for whatever we could. We just stopped spending money. We did things that we wanted to be careful. We didn't know how bad it was going to get. And so we turned off things that we were really sad to do. Some of the employee benefit things that we had done and tried really hard to establish over a decade. In the matter of minutes, we just turned everything off. But it helped us survive.
In hindsight, obviously always being 2020 here, was that the right move?
Yeah, I think short term it was the right move. So what ended up happening was, March and April, and then part of May ended up being really, really slow months for us. And so I think what we were able to do was basically keep everything kind of safe. But then luckily, as things went on, what we found, and one of the things that's interesting about the car wash industry right now, is there's a new model in place. We weren't the first to do it, but we were certainly an early pioneer, and it's a membership model. So it's an unlimited car wash subscription model. And so a lot of our customers, even though they weren't coming into the car wash, they had already paid for the month. And so they continued to pay. We did have a decline. We did have people that were canceling, but not nearly the rate that we thought it might be.
Fantastic.
At the end of the day, it really kept us alive during the summer.
You mean innovation always pays off?
Yeah,
shocking, right?
It was something we discovered early on, because it wasn't our first rodeo. It was our first pandemic, as it was most people's.
Yeah.
But we survived the recession of 2008 time period with similar expectations. We had kind of really nervous about what the recession might mean, and found that while we weren't growing for sure, the car wash seemed to be remarkably resilient, and customers still wanted to find satisfaction in keeping their car clean, even though it might not have been essential really in their mind. But
Right.
COVID was interesting, because in some people's minds, and what we tried to talk to cities and counties about, was the fact that we were helping to keep things clean. It might have been a stretch a little bit but when you look at whether it's Uber drivers, rideshare people, that are having people open door handles and whatnot.
Sure.
We definitely played that out as best we could to make ourselves essential.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Well, and I love that the subscription model kind of helped you guys get through that period of time. And I think that's something that is maybe undervalued by the customer that you have, right? Like, I don't know that they understand that if they don't have a subscription model, and if you don't stay open, then the car wash that they're used to going to and that's close to their house and it's convenient, it goes away. You know what I mean? So I think that subscription model obviously helped you guys as a business stay afloat, but to build on that, it also helped your customers keep something that's convenient to them. So I love seeing that. For our listeners at home, tell me a little bit about like what sets you apart from other car washes. Like what does the actual model look like for you? Obviously, people go there to get their vehicles cleaned, but what does it look like, and how do you kind of maintain that contactless part of the business, especially during this COVID time?
Yeah, great question. So we're considered in the industry a exterior only express car wash. So that means we're not full service. In various parts of the country, this will be more familiar than others, but it's really where the industry's headed. Full service car washes still exist and should. There's still a need. People will always want maybe to have that detailing done, but we focus exclusively on the interior. So the customer pulls up, they stay in their car, they go through the car wash experience, and we'd make it an experience. You asked, what sets us apart is we really try to make it. We put colored soaps and light shows and just make it a fun experience to go through. And then when they're done, they have the choice of, self-serve vacuums, which are free and included for our customers, or they just drive off. So it's a fast experience. They can be in and out in less than 5 minutes, and or choose to do some of the interior cleaning themselves. And so obviously the the full serve, the detailer shops took a much bigger hit during COVID than we did, because they couldn't get, they couldn't obviously be inside of people's vehicles. They couldn't have they couldn't be contactless that way. But with our memberships, people pull up. We already have their license plates on file, and so that we just give them a wave and they go on through.
That's awesome, dude. That's fantastic. I love hearing that. So now that I kind of have an understanding of, what sets you apart. Also, my kids absolutely love all of the different colors of soaps and the lights and stuff. Like they really, really get into it.
Palmer trying to blame that on his kids. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Okay. Guilty as charged. So now kind of getting an idea of how, what sets you guys apart as you look to the future of your business and of the industry as a whole. What do you see changing? How do you envision the future of your marketplace?
Yeah, from the industry standpoint, I think it's going to be some regional players continue to grow. So, as I mentioned, the industry, the way we look at it, even though we're 15, we're about 18 years into it now, from concept to today. It's real. The industry itself is just in its infancy, and what that means is, so when we started, the industry puts out a top 50 car wash list every year, and they rank the car wash chains by the number of locations they had. Well, we were shocked when about 5 years in, made that list with only 7 locations. We were like,
that's incredible.
How in the world are we on this list of top 50 chains with 7 locations? And that's because it truly is so fragmented. And now with 110, almost 115 locations for us, it puts us at number 4 on that list, which is still remarkable, because that means number 1, 2, and 3 all have less than 300 locations or 300 or less locations. And that represents still less than, probably 3% of all the car washes out there. So there's so much room still for both growth from a consolidation standpoint. And then what we found is the demand curve is actually changing, where when we started, we wouldn't build a car wash next to one of our own or a competitor within about a 3 to 5 mile radius. We're just like, that's just not smart. There's not enough car washes to be within that area. Well, we came across some acquisitions that were about a mile away from ours. The competitor was like, look, you guys are, you're outperforming us. We want to get out. We're either going to sell to you or we're going to sell to the competition. So we're like, well, we'd rather be our own competition. So we purchased those, and then we realized both of them were performing at a high enough level. The 3 to 5 mile radius, we think, can shrink as low as 2 and even 1 mile in some cases if the market's right. And what that means for us is that where we thought a market that might only sustain 20 or 30 now do 50 or 60 locations, and the industry's finding that out. And so in certain markets, there's a lot of new development happening. And so I think there'll be regional players like us that will, quickly go from 100 or 200 locations to, 1,000 and 2,000. And then there'll be some consolidation, and there may emerge, although 5 years might be too soon, but in the next decade, a national brand or so. It happened in the past. You've seen it with storage, self-storage, and with things like oil change, right? And 30, 40, 50 years ago, it was just a bunch of single owners in the oil change. And then as time went on, there became regional players, and then it evolved into something like Jiffy Lube and a few other of those major players that kind of cover the whole country. So that's kind of, I think, where it's headed. From a car wash cleaning standpoint, what's really interesting is if you look at pictures of car washes from the 50s and 60s and today, it's almost the same experience. Not a lot has changed from a technology. Now, there has been obviously some major changes, but overall, it still feels and looks remarkably similar. So we think there'll also be some changes in technology that'll allow not just a better cleaning, but also a better experience as car washing becomes a little bit of also, as you mentioned, with your, the way your kids love it, a little bit of an entertainment factor as well as a functional factor.
Maybe like have some live bands and like,
yeah, they can get in the car with you on your way through. and like serenade you
This
through
will
the
have to
car
be
wash.
after COVID, though.
Yes, after COVID, of course.
Well, Travis, you guys are moving forward. I mean, this is fantastic on what you guys have going. I mean, I'm curious on the entertainment factor, or could it be an advertising factor where you're going through? I know, the car wash can be intimidating to some of the younger kids, but maybe there's opportunities to project like either characters on the wall, or there could be advertisements. So, I'm interested to see what the future brings as far as like that entertainment aspect. Do you have any jousting?
Jousting would be.
Yeah, I mean, we've toyed around with a lot of ideas. We've actually had people come to us and say, you have a captive audience. Obviously, as people go through, can we put up a poster or a banner with our company to advertise? We've shied away from that for now. We're like, well, we want to kind of advertise our stuff. We want to reinforce our brand as opposed to kind of sell that out right now. But from an entertainment and fun, I mean, there's really the sky's the limit where we could, once we start to incorporate, people's phones into it, there could be a real kind of virtual experience where they can maybe start to select the colors or start to select the options.
Or maybe you give them all VR things as they as they go through. I mean, wow. Talk about the sky's the limit. That's awesome.
Obviously, you're very outgoing and in the sense of being early adopters of technology, and sometimes with the membership and so forth. With that can come, you can be part of the gold rush, and sometimes you could have a pretty interesting learning experience. Is there a failure or a favorite failure of yours that have later set you up for success?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was a failure as much as it was kind of a kind of a setback in terms of a software. So we did early on. We looked at the industry software that was providing the point of sale. And what's unique about the car wash industry, it's not just a point of sale software. It also has to tell the car wash equipment what to turn on and what not to turn on, right? So if I pull up and I want the top wash package with all the bells and whistles and the tire shine and wax and everything, then the point of sale has to, once it's put in, then it has to actually tell the car wash to turn on those pieces of equipment. And after probably 7-8 years of just being frustrated with the options that the industry had been providing for software, we said we're going to just develop our own. So
Nice.
Again, trying to be pioneering, and we don't regret the decision, but it certainly it took a different path than we had hoped. And anybody that's been involved with software, it's not going to come to any surprise that it was well over budget. Probably 2 or 3x, and took that at least that long in terms of expectation of deliverable time to get it right. In fact, our very first version of it that we outsourced, we ended up throwing away.
Wow.
Kind of a big deal, a lot of money, that very painful decision to make. But it also lots of lessons, right? We learned a lot. We learned that we wanted to control it in-house. We trusted too much, a little bit, our vendor, and so we brought not all of the development in-house, but we brought the management of it in-house. And now we have a team, and we're looking, being in 2 to 3 years, our IT team could be bigger than our accounting team. I mean, we want to be a technology company that does car washing.
Well, I hope your experience is no foreshadowing into what is soon to be Till and I. So Phame and all of its subparts here is developing a software right now, and our prognostications are leaning a little towards what you just elucidated, which is, well, we have a budget in mind, but we all know how software goes, and we have a timeline in mind, and we all know how that goes. So hopefully that's not the case. But I got to ask, Travis, what's next for a guy like you? You got so much going on. You guys are rapidly expanding. Sounds like you're having great success. You survived a pandemic. Marketing is going well. You've got some obviously objectives that you're looking to accomplish. What's next?
Yeah, our next initiatives in terms of the car wash is really on that customer experience side. We are absolutely forming a R&D team, which sounds, really interesting. We've slowly kind of stopped buying equipment and started developing our own equipment, but we're still just kind of putting out the same car wash equipment that's been around for decades. And so we're looking at taking that to the next level, both from a cleaning the car side, as well as a customer experience. Some of the stuff we've talked about, some of the stuff, I won't necessarily disclose kind of our secret sauce, but we have some really good ideas on how to make the customer experience something that's just amazing. And as I mentioned, incorporating the mobile phone technology into that. There's some excitement there for sure. Personally, I'll just continue to grow the company. I mean, we are, like I said, we're number 4 in terms of size. Nobody, wakes up in the morning and says, we're number 4, we're number 4.
Right.
we have goals and ambitions, and we've put an amazing team together. I mean, that's really the secret sauce for us is the people that are in place right now on the development side to be able to reach our goals of opening maybe up to 50 car washes each year for the next few years. And that allows us to do some pretty cool stuff. At the end of the day, for me and for my partners, we have a mission to change lives for the better. And we do that both for our team members, but we also do some pretty cool stuff in the communities where we work, where we do fundraisers and get involved in where some people might have had a tragedy or a medical condition that we just want to get involved with. We're currently in the stages of building a mini car wash in someone's backyard for a Make-A-Wish type activity. So those are the things, cleaning cars is fun, but changing lives is way better.
Oh my God, that's so meaningful.
Yeah, Travis, that's very admirable. Where's the best place for people to find you online?
Well, we do own quickquack.com, but we have never really used that because we fell in love with our tagline, which is "Don't Drive Dirty." And so don'tdrivedirty.com is both our motto and our website. And they can find us there. We're in 5 states. Quick Quack Car Wash is in Arizona, Texas, Colorado, California. And we are growing. So it's hopefully everybody will see a Quick Quack Car Wash near them at some point.
I mean, your innovation in this industry is very interesting and give back to the community. You don't always hear that. So it's, very admirable. So we just want to thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
All right, that concludes another episode of the Phame Influence podcast. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and head on over to fameinfluence.com/podcast for more episodes like this. Catch you next time.